Hey everybody, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and in AI news, and we've got to talk about AI because regulations are coming, at least for California at the moment, hopefully for the rest of the United States, because some stuff happened on November 27th that we all need to be aware of, basically for our future and our privacy rights. Now, Natasha Lomas of TechCrunch had a good write-up on this that I'm cribbing, and here's what's going on. California's Privacy Protection Agency, or CPPA, is basically preparing for its next thing, which is putting guardrails, or at least attempting to, around artificial intelligence. Now, the state privacy regulator, which has obviously an important role in setting the rules for the state. And remember, a lot of big tech is actually headquartered in California, all over the state, but mostly in Silicon Valley. They, on November 27th, published draft regulations for how people's data can be used for what it refers to as Automated Decision-Making Technology, or ADMT, often known as AI, or artificial intelligence. Now, the core of this, basically, which they intend to work on finalizing next year, 2024, after a consultation process, includes an opt-out right for basically all of us, a pre-use notice requirement, and access rights, which would enable state residents to obtain meaningful information on how their data is being used for automation and artificial intelligence technologies. AI-based profiling could even fall in the scope of the planned rules per the draft that the CPPA presented on the 27th. So, assuming this provision survives the consultation process and makes it into basically the hard-baked rules from this commission or this agency, there could be big implications for U.S. ad tech giants like Meta, which has a business model that hinges on tracking and profiling you and I and everybody else, so that we get targeted ads. Their AI is essentially doing that. And you know they're baked into a lot of different websites. You go to cars.com to look up, I don't know, a used car, a Mercedes, a Toyota, whatever. Guess what you're getting on Facebook? Ads for used Mercedes and Toyotas on basically from cars.com. This is a kind of thing that we're talking about as well, because they are learning off of, let's say, our preferences. Maybe you really love Toyotas and Mercedes, and here we are. The whole world doesn't need to know that. Now, such firms could be required to offer California residents the ability to deny their commercial surveillance, with the proposed law stating that businesses must provide consumers with the ability to opt out of their data being processed for behavioral advertising. The current draft further stipulates that behavioral advertising use cases cannot make use of a number of exemptions to opt out, basically to that opt out right, and that may apply in other scenarios. So, for example, if the AI is being used for security or fraud prevention purposes, that might be something that essentially gets an exemption. But here's the thing: advertising or behavioral advertising use cases cannot basically have those exemptions. So the impact of California AI rule is likely to remain local, given its focus on affording protections and controls to state residents. In scope, companies might choose to go further, though, for example, say, offering the same package of privacy protections to residents of other U.S. states. I highly doubt that Facebook would do that, because obviously it harms their bottom line, and screw those guys. I've talked about that I don't even know how many times, but it's just the worst company. They're just awful. But obviously, it's up to the big tech platforms here. And the bottom line is that the CPPA's reach and enforcement is basically within California's borders. And so there you go. If you're a resident of California, you've got these protections. And quite frankly, I think that we need universal laws. Like the EU has the GDPR. We have a hodgepodge per state, depending on where you live. You fall under privacy protections, or you don't when it comes online, and some are stringent, some are not. So the CCPA, for example, in California, which is the Consumer Privacy Protection Act, basically protects a lot of California residents. I live in Chicago, that's Illinois. We have the Biometric Information Privacy Act for biometric data, but it doesn't go nearly as far as California. New York's got SHIELD. They've all got this hodgepodge. We need uniformity here. And when it comes to artificial intelligence and the growth of this and how it's going to be used against us, and this is literally what we're talking about here, against us, is in advertising and other ways that they can start building fingerprints of behavioral input, whatever we're typing, however, let's say they're analyzing the videos that I'm creating and all of that, and then sensing, well, Nick is angry at Meta, and I am, for the record. Those are the things that we're talking about. And so I think it's important to get ahead of this in that sense, because Lord knows if we don't, we're walking already into a disinformation driven 2024 election here in the United States. Artificial intelligence, specifically large language models and generative AI, are going to be at the forefront of that disinformation campaign. We need to start clamping down on this. So I'm glad California is doing this. We'd love to see it other places, but here we go. We'll see what happens, and hopefully it won't be watered down. And ideally, we'll get national laws. But as long as we keep having lobbyists that are being paid a dump truck load of money by the Metas and Googles of the world, I don't think that's ever going to happen. Just being realistic kind of sucks. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP, where hopefully the AIs will be reined in. Same on YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe, stay online, and please attempt to stay private. Thanks, everybody.